God is. That simple, that absolute, God is. While on the same page, you and I read headlines that shriek of division, borders hardening, markets shivering, neighbors growing suspicious of neighbors. God is, while one voice accuses and another voice defends, and the chorus swells into a roar. How do you place those two on the same altar? You do not, at least not with the mind that makes comparisons and chooses sides. You let the paradox stand in the light as it is, and you turn within to the one who is before the headline, beneath the shouting, and after the last opinion has worn itself out. Be still and know that I am God. Not be loud, not be right, but be still and know. We begin here because the world does not change by our angers. The more you and I set ourselves to fix the world, the more the world binds our hands and drags us into its quarrels. The more we wrestle the serpent of appearances, the tighter its coils. The more we try to demonstrate a better society by will and strategy, the more entangled we become in the very nets of cause and effect we hope to escape. Let loose right now your impulse to correct the world, to correct a person, to correct a nation. Release it, loose it, and let it go. The kingdom of God is within you. If it is within, it is not won by exterior campaigns. If it is of God, it is not secured by your cleverness. Do not misunderstand. I am not suggesting indifference. I am inviting a different order of attention. There is a presence that does not take sides and yet dissolves enmity. There is a love that does not argue and yet disarms. That presence is the Christ, one consciousness, the only law of harmony there is. You cannot bring it forth by outrage. You cannot import it with slogans. It must be realized, felt, known, in the quiet place where thought stops grasping. My peace I give unto you. Not as the world giveth, not as the world gives by bargaining, by majority, by leverage, but as God gives, by simply being what it is in the midst of us. Now, you may say, but should we not do something? Yes, we should do. The one thing. We should turn, we should withdraw attention from the smoke and mirror show of reaction and set our whole heart on God. I of my own self can do nothing. It has to be God's grace. This is not humility for humility's sake. It is the only doorway through which anything real is born. The arm of flesh fails. The activity of the Christ never fails. So we turn. So we listen. So we wait. I have seen a father stand at the window as sirens stitched the evening, knuckles white, mind racing with what-ifs for his child out in the city. And I have watched the same father sit down, breathe once, and say within, Father, into thy hands, and a warmth begin to move through his chest like dawn, loosening frost. That warmth is not sentiment. It is the felt assurance that the presence is on the scene. In that release, he did not abandon his child. He ceased claiming the role of protector that never belonged to him. In that release, room was made for God to be God. Cast your care upon the Lord, not into the street, not into the argument, upon the Lord. So it is. We align with a paradox without trying to iron it flat. God is, while the world hates. Let it be so to the natural eye. But to spiritual sense, God is, and that is the end of the sentence. We will not fight shadows with shadows. We will not take our place on this or that ledge of opinion. We will take our place at the center. We will cultivate the one condition that permits grace to operate, receptivity. As you rest in that, without agenda, without a timetable, a quiet begins to form like a sea settling after storm. Then and only then can we speak of what is to be done. For it will not be the doing of a person, but the effortless shining of what already is. I can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth me. Not through the anxious mind, through Christ realized. Let us begin, then, not with a plan, but with a pause, not with a side, but with a turning, not with an answer shouted across a chasm, but with the presence acknowledged in the secret place. In that acknowledgement, we have already stepped out of the quarrel and into the kingdom. Let loose right now the burden of fixing anything or anyone. Release it, loose it, and let it go. Let go of the urge to correct your neighbor, to cure your nation, to patch a torn world with your own clever stitches. Stop trying to demonstrate a better spouse, a safer street, a kinder party, a fairer market. Loose it. Let it go. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, not the kingdom of improved conditions. Seek God alone. One thing have I desired, and that will I seek after. Not results, not reputations, not applause for being on the right side of history. God. When we turn from the things to the thing, from the many to the one, the things find their proper order because they are no longer asked to be gods. Now, your mind objects, but if I do nothing, evil will advance. Who said do nothing? I did not say do nothing. I said do the one thing. I of my own self can do nothing. That is the clean confession that breaks the back of strain. It is not the feet, it is doorway. It is the Father that doeth the works. So we cease the nervous handling of effect and present ourselves at the altar of cause. We hand over outcomes, not into neglect, but into omnipotence. We stop arranging persons and policies in imagination and instead acknowledge the presence that is the only governor, the only law. That acknowledgement is not a phrase. It is a felt turning, a surrender of claims, a resting in be still and know that I am God. Then wait. I watched a woman who had not spoken to her sister for 2 years write and rewrite the perfect letter to heal it. Every sentence frayed the knot tighter. One morning, weary of the workshop of words, she sat down, closed her eyes, and said within, Father, I release her to thee. I release my need to have it this or that way. Thy will be done. She waited. A warmth rose as if the heart had found a hearth, and with it the quiet sentence, I am in the midst of you. Nothing left to do. Hours later, the telephone rang, laughter through tears. No lecture, no strategy had crossed the ocean between them, only the realization of the Christ. Do not call it coincidence. Do not call it influence. Call it what it is. One presence recognized becoming the law of harmony, where receptivity allowed, because there are no such things as many demonstrations. There is only one demonstration, the realization of the Christ. So it is with headlines, borders, bills, and ballots. You will not fix a capital by outrage, nor heal a street with arguments. But if in a kitchen, on a bus, at a desk, one of you turns and knows, truly knows, in him we live and move and have our being. That knowing radiates as a law into the field of your experience. Those ready to receive will feel a loosening, a wisdom arriving they did not study for, a peacemaking they cannot trace to you. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, not as leverage, not as numbers, but as presence. Christ doesn't send peace. Christ is peace where it is realized. Therefore, let this be your stance today. Stop fixing. Start embodying. Stop clutching outcomes. Yield them to grace. Stop seeking signs. Seek God. Turn within, be still, and wait until the inner assurance comes, whether as a hush, a warmth, or a word, and let that presence go before you as the only actor. In that embodiment, without strain, without show, harmony appears because harmony is on the scene, and you will see quietly that what your effort could not budge, love, being itself where you are, has already reconciled. Now let us be very clear so that we do not deceive ourselves with pious phrases. The world is full of right words painted on banners and stitched into mottos, and yet the hatreds march on. You can memorize every beautiful statement ever written about God and still find that not all the truth that's written in our books will heal a simple headache. Why? Because words about truth are not truth. Slogans about God are not God. The letter killeth, the spirit giveth life. The letter can point. It cannot perform. It is not the sentence God is that heals. It is God realized. It is not saying Christ is peace that brings peace. It is Christ as peace felt within you that breaks the sword in midair. You say you want health, you want peace, you want supply. Hear this paradox and let it unhook you from grasping. There is no health in and of itself, and there is no peace in and of itself. Both health and peace are qualities and activities of God. They do not exist apart from the presence that is their life. You cannot go out into the marketplace and fetch a pound of health or a yard of peace. They are not commodities to be acquired. They are the nature of God revealing itself where it is welcomed. In thy light shall we see light. In thy light, not in my problem solving. In the presence, not in my pronouncement. There are no such things as many demonstrations. There is only one demonstration, the realization of the Christ. All that you call healing, reconciliation, guidance, protection, these are not separate shows of power. They are one activity wearing many garments. Christ realized. Christ does not send these things. Christ is these things. When the Christ is risen in your consciousness, not buried in the tomb of your mind as a collection of correct ideas, but risen and alive, you will see forms appear as harmony wherever there is receptivity. Until then, you may arrange and rearrange the furniture of your affairs, and the wind will keep blowing it out of place. I have watched a dear soul pace the floor, whispering affirmations through clenched teeth, counting them as if numbers would help. God is all. God is love. God is power. 50 times, then 100, and I have watched the same soul, exhausted by the effort, drop into a chair, sigh once, and say within, Father, I cannot do this. I of my own self can do nothing. That moment, without fanfare, the jaw softened, the breath lengthened, and a warmth began to move like dawn behind the eyes. The headache went out as quietly as it had come in. Was it the 100th repetition? No. It was the presence felt, be still and know that I am God. Then wait. Wait until the knowing is not in the lips, but in the marrow. So let this be the criterion by which you measure your practice. Has the Christ been realized or merely asserted? Has your prayer turned from saying to seeing, from quoting to knowing, from effort to release? Do not ask, did I say the right words? Ask, was there an inner peace, however slight, that announced, I am in the midst of thee? When that peace appears, the work is already done, though the form of its appearing may be hours or days unfolding. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, not as repetition, not as volume, not as argument, but as presence dawning in your own awareness. Then, and only then, do results bear witness, because the only worker has come on the scene. Now let us come to the way. It is not complicated, but it is contrary to the habit of a mind trained to fix and to fight. The first motion is withdrawal. Draw your attention back from persons and problems, from headlines and histories, from what he said and what she did. Withdraw even from the noble imagination of how you hope it will turn out. Let it all stand out there as the passing scene without your hands upon it. Sit down, if you can. Close the door, close the eyes, if that helps. And say within not to get something, but to enter where something already is. Be still and know that I am in the midst of you. Then wait. Be still. Let the words be a key turned gently, not a battering ram. Be still and know, not talk and know, not plead and know. Be still and know that I am, not I, the anxious self. I, the one that is life itself, law itself, peace itself. Let the attention now turn to God. I of my own self can do nothing. It is the Father that doeth the works. Let that be the inner confession that loosens your grip. Then wait. This is the part the world skips. Then wait. Wait without designing an answer. Wait without reaching for a sign. Simply rest in the acknowledgement, I am in the midst of thee. In that quiet, you are not empty. You are hospitable. You are not neglecting duty. You are consenting to reality. Remain until there is a shift, sometimes scarcely more than the softest breeze across the heart. It may come as a warmth that spreads like morning from behind the eyes. It may come as a loosening in the chest, a sigh you did not plan. It may come as a sentence arriving on its own breath, fear not, I am with thee. Or, my peace I give unto you. Do not measure or grade it. Notice it. That is the announcement that the presence is on the scene. When that assurance appears, the prayer has fulfilled its purpose. The form of its appearing will unfold as it must, but the work is already done because the only worker is active. If nothing seems to shift, do not bully the silence. Do not go back to arranging outcomes in imagination. Stay a few moments more in simple acknowledgement. Then go about your tasks quietly and return again later. 2 minutes now, 2 minutes again when you notice the mind tightening, 2 minutes again when the headline flashes, this is faithfulness to method. Each time, the same entrance. Be still and know that I am in the midst of you. Then wait. Now to those of you who help others, hear this and be relieved of a burden that was never yours. Forget the person. When a letter comes, when a call asks for prayer, do not take them into your mind and work on them. Do not send thoughts across miles. Do not picture them improved. Stop trying to demonstrate anybody. Sit down, drop their name, their face, their story from your thought, as you would set a bundle gently at the altar. Turn within and realize God as the only activity of being. One presence, one power, one life is the law unto all within reach of that realization. Because there is only one soul in this room, one mind, one spirit. Those ready will feel it without ever thinking of you. Often, as I sit in that quiet, there comes either a feeling of peace or a simple word. Sometimes I am impelled to send one sentence, no argument, no instruction, only what was given, rest. I am in the midst. Many times there is no sentence at all because the healing has preceded the letter. Do not try to make this happen. Do not perform at God. Be still and know. Then wait until the inner assurance comes, however faint. That is enough. That is all. Make this your practice today. Withdraw attention from problems and persons. Turn within. Enter by the mantra. Wait. Let the sign be not logic but life. The peace, the warmth, the quiet word. When it appears, rise and do whatever presents itself next without strain. Grace is on the field. And if tomorrow the mind starts again its busy manufacture of outcomes, smile, stop, and step once more through the same door. Be still and know that I am in the midst of you. Then wait. Now we let the paradox walk on 2 feet. Loose the world. Loose it from your hands, your plans, your clocks, your camps. Stop trying to demonstrate peace, to demonstrate supply, to demonstrate safety. Seek God alone. Seek ye first the kingdom of God, not the kingdom of improved reports. The more we hold on to a thing, the less we have it. The more you clutch your coin, the more it turns to a cold stone in the hand. The more you grip a person or a position, the more it slips through the fingers like mist. Let loose right now the outcome you have been nursing in imagination. Release it. Loose it and let it go. You say, but this is important, this bill, this border, this biopsy. I do not deny the appearance. I invite you to deny its governance. There is no supply, no health, no safety in and of themselves. Both supply and health and safety are qualities and activities of God. You cannot yank them into place by intensity or by argument. You cannot bring Christ into a room with slogans. Christ doesn't send these things. Christ is these things where it is realized. So our work is not to manufacture results, but to make room for the real presence by relinquishing our private blueprints. How do you loose the world? You drop sides. You release strategies designed to bend people or policies to your comfort. You set down timelines. By Friday, before the quarter ends, if only they would, lay them on the altar as you would lay down a heavy sack and straighten your back. Say within, Father, into thy hands. Say, thy will be done. Then be still and know that I am in the midst of you. Then wait. Wait until the quiet arrives, even faintly, for that is the sign that the activity of Christ is on the field. I have watched a businessman hold his breath over a contract, squeezing figures so hard his relationships bled. He sat down, finally spent, and whispered, I cannot force this right. I of my own self can do nothing. He waited, and something in him uncoiled, as if an invisible hand had lifted a knot from his chest. Without fresh tactics, calls began to return, not because he radiated charm, but because he stopped radiating fear. Supply came not as a prize wrestled out of the world, but as a natural outflow where Christ's order was allowed to be what it is. So with safety. A mother stalks the news, sampling dangers like bitter herbs, and the house fills with a taste of dread. Then she learns to loose. Father, I release my child into thy care. I release my fear into thy light. She waits, a warmth, a hush. Fear not, I am with thee. No incantation, only presence. She has not abandoned vigilance. She has abandoned ownership. Protection does not arrive as a guard at the door. It arrives as the fact that life is the only life, and it is here, now, in the midst. Let this be your posture when the world demands your rage or your rush. Refuse sides, release outcomes, relinquish the clock, turn within, and yield the field to the one actor. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, not as leverage, not as numbers, but as presence, being itself. When you stop pressing, grace begins to flow. When you stop refereeing, harmony plays its own game. Releasing all outcomes makes room for the activity of Christ to be all that is needed. Then, as forms arrange themselves without your fists upon them, give thanks quietly and keep your seat in the center, for that is where tomorrow's loosing will begin again, because there is only one soul in this room, one mind, one spirit. There is a lawfulness to grace that needs no machinery. Realization in one consciousness registers as harmony in any receptive consciousness, not by distance bridged or influence exerted, but because there are not many consciousnesses to begin with. One, life is living itself where we seem to stand as many. One light is shining itself through whatever window is clean. When that light is realized, felt, known, allowed, it is the law of harmony to all within reach of that realization. I, if I be lifted up, will draw all men unto me. Not I, the person, lifted as an orator. I, the Christ, lifted in awareness, drawing by being what it is. Do not mystify this. And do not vulgarize it. This is not thought sending. This is not suggestion. This is not you beaming ideas from your forehead into another's will. Loose that too. We are not working on people. We are not holding them in mind. We are not picturing their improvement. Forget them lovingly, reverently, by consenting to God as the only presence and the only activity on the field. In him we live and move and have our being. When that is no longer a sentence on your lips, but a fact in your marrow, something unseen, but lawfully operative, goes out like warmth through a house, not from you, but from the center realized where you are. You have tasted this in your own rooms. One of you sits down before the day breaks into its old collisions, and says within, "Be still and know that I am in the midst." Then wait. A quiet settles. Without speech about it, the children come to breakfast less brittle. A spouse who woke in a storm speaks in a lighter tone. The phone rings, and the conversation that often becomes a contest turns instead into understanding. No one knows why. You do not explain. You do not claim. Christ realized in your consciousness has become the law of harmony unto your household. And those receptive felt it without thinking of you. Deep calleth unto deep. The deep in you answered to the deep in them, and both were met in the one. Carry this a block farther. You walk into a meeting that has a history of heat. You do not prepare arguments. You prepare an altar, quietly, without closing your eyes or withdrawing from duty. You turn within. I am in the midst. Then you wait, even for 10 seconds, until there is that soft inward assent. You speak less, and what you do say feels unforced. A hardness in another's face softens. A phrase appears that gives both sides a place to stand. Who arranged it? Not you. Grace arranged it by being itself, where one member of the body led it. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst. And if only one appears outwardly, yet truly in that name nature, the 2 or 3 are already fulfilled in the one life present. Widen the circle again. Do not be surprised when a neighborhood eases, when a street grows a touch safer, when a report from far away tells of a small ceasefire, a corridor opened, a child fed. Do not hurry to make metaphysics into headlines, but do not shrink either. Nations feel harmony to the degree that within them there are those seen or hidden who lift the awareness of the one. My sheep hear my voice. Those attuned answer. Sometimes a policymaker dreaming a truer law. Sometimes a doctor pausing before a hurried cut. Sometimes a border officer moved to mercy and not knowing why. They will feel it without ever thinking of you. They may credit fresh air, luck, a passing thought of a grandmother's hymn. Let them. The Christ in them answers to the Christ realized in you, and neither belongs to the person. So you are relieved of the itch to manage and the pride of authorship. Your part is to be still and know, to wait until the inner assurance says, I am in the midst. Then go where the day takes you, invisible as yeast, simple as light at dawn. Oneness is the conduit of help. Realization radiates because there are not two to bridge. One soul in this room, one mind, one spirit. This is the law. Trust it. Yield to it. And quietly watch as what needed softening softens, what needed wisdom is supplied, and what needed peace discovers it has never been outside its own source. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, not as influence, not as pressure, but as presence realized, being what it is in the midst of us. Now let us taste it. No more talk about it for a moment, let us enter. Close the outer door of reaction as you would gently close a window against a sudden wind. The street can keep its clatter. Let the clatter stay where it is. You do not have to go far. Right where you are. Let the attention turn, not outward to persons or reports, but inward to the I that is present. Be still and know that I am in the midst of you. Then wait. Sit as you are. You do not have to improve your posture to find God. Let the hands rest. Let the shoulders drop as if they just remembered gravity. Now, within yourself, as simply as a child who trusts the voice that calls his name, say, Father, speak, thy servant heareth. Then wait. Do not craft an answer. Do not prepare a speech to heaven. Wait. The kingdom of God is within you. If it is within, it will not shout. It will announce itself by being what it is. If a thought arrives to tug your sleeve with news or plans, let it pass by like a stranger you do not need to entertain. You are not here to arrange outcomes. You are not here to hold anyone in mind, to send light to them, to picture their faces. Forget them lovingly for this moment. No images to send. No persons to hold. I of my own self can do nothing. It is the Father that doeth the works. Turn and be available to the worker. Speak, Lord, for thy servant heareth. Then wait. Watch for what cannot be forced. A softening perhaps just behind the eyes. The jaw untying its knot. The breath lengthening of its own accord. Sometimes a warmth begins, not a heat of emotion, but a gentle, spreading like dawn through fog, from behind the eyes or across the chest. Sometimes there is a hush that feels like a lake that has stopped remembering the stone. Sometimes there is a sentence, as quiet as a hand laid on the shoulder. Fear not, I am with thee. Or, my peace I give unto you, or only, I am. Do not reach for it. Notice it, as you would notice a friend entering a familiar room. If nothing seems to appear, do not bully the silence. Let the acknowledgement itself be enough for now. God is. I am in the midst. Rest there a minute or two. Remember, the measure here is not fireworks. It is an inward ease, however slight, that says without words, the presence is on the scene. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Then wait. If you are tempted to check your watch, smile inwardly and release the clock into the same presence time belongs to. It also, Father, speak, thy servant heareth. Then wait. Your waiting is not empty. It is hospitality. You are not trying to get anything. You are letting what is be what. It is where you are. You are not conjuring peace for the world. You are consenting to peace as the nature of God here. Now, if, as you sit, a face insists, a problem presses, do not wrestle it. Let it drift to the margin like a leaf floating to the edge of a pond and return again to the center. Be still and know that I am God. Then wait. No strategies, no bargains, only presence acknowledged. Now, if there is even the faintest sense of warmth, if the breath has eased, if a quiet has settled as lightly as dust in sunlight, do not seize it. Do not make it into a sign to be analyzed. Do nothing about it. Simply note, I am in the midst. Rest there. Let love be itself without your commentary. That is prayer fulfilled. Not words accomplished, but presence realized. When you rise, and you will in a moment rise gently, as if carrying a brimming cup you do not wish to spill. But for now, stay just here, without agenda, in the simple fact, God is. Christ is a reality if so be the Spirit of God dwell in you. Acknowledge it. Do nothing about it. Rest in it, and let it be all. Now bring this to the doorstep where the world knocks with headlines and alerts, with breaking stories that break the same way every day. Let each one be a bell, not to rally you to sides, but to summon you to the center. God is, while the world hates. That is the paradox you heard at the beginning. Do not meet it with outrage. Meet it with presence. Every headline is a summons to presence, not to sides. Refuse the old rituals of reaction. No rebuttal threads. No mental debates that keep you arguing with shadows at 3 a.m. No spiritualized opinions dressed in verses to make them look holy. Stop trying to demonstrate a better news cycle. Loose it, release it, let it go. Let not your heart be troubled. Turn from the pictures and the numbers and the voices shouting for your anger. I of my own self can do nothing. It is the Father that doeth the works. So your first act is not to post, not to persuade, not even to pray about causes. Your first act is to turn within and acknowledge, I am in the midst. Here is the simple protocol, as plain as breathing. You see the headline. Do not reach for a side or a slogan. Let the attention turn to God. Be still and know that I am God. Then wait. Wait without designing an answer. Wait without composing a clever sentence to calm the mob. Wait until there is an inner ease, a warmth, a hush, or a quiet word. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. That assurance is not your green light to argue more kindly. It is the announcement that the worker is on the field. If the inner word stays silent, remain in the acknowledgement and go on with your tasks lightly. The silence itself is the work when it is the silence of realized presence. Sometimes, as you wait, there will come a nudge. Write this one letter. Make this one call. Send this gift without trumpet or tag. Step into this room and say only peace. Sometimes there will be no nudge, only the felt fact of God in the midst. And you will do nothing outwardly but carry that brimming cup through the day. Trust the timing. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. The same presence that equips you will appoint the hour and the form, none of it birthed in your will, all of it flowing as byproduct of the one realized. I watched a man nearly set fire to 1,000 minds with a paragraph he had polished in the heat of a breaking story. His finger hovered, and he heard within, "Be still." He closed the laptop and sat. "Father, into thy hands." Minutes passed. The jaw unclenched, the breath unknotted. A simple sentence arrived, not for the crowd, for one person. "Call your neighbor." He called, and a long-stuck bitterness melted into laughter and apology. Later that day, with the same quiet at his back, he wired a gift to a relief effort without the perfume of self. He did not calculate impacts. He did not collect credit. He let Christ be what it is. Those ready to receive felt it without thinking of him. So when the next alert buzzes your pocket, let it be your bell for sanctuary. Before you answer to a camp, answer to the center. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Do not throw more kindling on the world's fever. Offer no smoke. Offer light. Because there is only one soul, one mind, one spirit. Peace realized in you is lawful peace to all who can hear. Sometimes you will move. Sometimes you will be moved, not to move. Both are obedience to the same presence. Let the news call you home each time. Be still and know, then wait. From there, whatever happens next is not you fixing the world. It is love being itself where you are. Now walk with me from the small crosswalk at the corner to the line that men draw across continents and call a border, and see that one and the same law governs both. Do not let the change of scale fool you. There are no such things as many demonstrations. There is only one demonstration, the realization of the Christ. Christ doesn't send these things. Christ is these things order, safety, wisdom, peace, where it is realized. So let the practice be identical, whether you are tying a shoe or hearing of a truce. A parent stands with a child at the curb. Cars flash by. The world parades its dangers. You can load that moment with fear, or you can loose it into God. Do not try to demonstrate safety for your child as if safety were a separate commodity to be acquired. Turn within, be still, and know that I am in the midst of you. Then wait, not to imagine every possible hazard, not to picture angels wrestling with traffic, but to feel, however slightly, the hush that says, "Fear not, I am with thee." When that inner assurance appears, even like the faintest dawn, release the small hand into the Father's hand and step off when the way opens. You have not sent the child out wrapped in your fear. You have let life carry itself, for in him we live and move and have our being. And if the hush does not come, wait another breath, another beat. Do not make a god of the clock, then go when peace appears, because the worker has stepped onto the field. Carry the same law to your desk, where personalities grind like gears and meetings smoke with old frictions. Stop trying to fix people. Stop trying to demonstrate anybody. Do not hold faces in your mind and push them into better shapes. Forget them lovingly by consenting to one mind as the only mind on the scene. Quietly within, while the room arranges its pens and pours its coffee, turn. I of my own self can do nothing. It is the Father that doeth the works. Be still, know, then wait. Do not craft a line to win the hour. Notice the atmosphere begin to thin. A word arrives with no edge on it. A silence opens where argument would have leapt. A colleague who wears his armor every day lets a sentence out without spikes. No one knows why. You do not claim it. The Christ realized has become the law of harmony within the circle of receptivity. Now widened still. Two neighbors stand nose to fence, each with a tape measure and a memory of slights. Do not take camps. Do not lend spiritual slogans to your favorite yard line. Realize God is the substance of all life, the very ground beneath both pairs of feet. Turn within. Blessed are the peacemakers. Be still. No. Then wait. Perhaps you will be led to say, let's start with coffee, and the cups do more than the codes. Perhaps no word is asked of you at all, and they, feeling something they would never name, propose a third line that neither had considered. So it is when borders harden between nations. You do not swing your mind like a flag. You withdraw to the country within, where there is one king, one Lord, one faith, one baptism. There, you consent to the Christ as the only law of life. You will hear, hours or days later, of a corridor opened, a convoy passed, a commander who postponed the strike and does not know why. Do not hurry to connect the dots, and do not shrink either, because there is only one soul, one mind, one spirit. The lift in one is lawfully felt wherever there is an ear to hear. I, if I be lifted up, will draw all men unto me. So mark this down where you cannot forget it. The same realization governs a headache, a household, and a headline. The method is one, the worker is one, the law is one. Withdraw, turn within, be still and know. Then wait. Wait until that quiet arrives, warmth, ease, a word, or only a soft yes where strain had been. Then rise and take the next step, whether it is to cross with your child, to sit gently in the meeting, or to let your prayer be a light no border can arrest. He maketh wars to cease unto the end of the earth. He, not you and not I. Make room for him by seeking God alone, and watch as the small and the vast show one face, grace being itself where receptivity allows. Now let us come to the heart of the exchange that makes all the rest possible, the trading of personhood for Christed identity. You have seen how the world drags you into sides and clocks and causes. Now see how the old I that strains and fears is the very blockage. I of my own self can do nothing. It is the Father that doeth the works, not poetry procedure, not humility as posture, humility as identity. If you watch yourself, you will notice that most of your fatigue comes of being a little God trying to arrange a universe. Lay that idol down. Be still and know that I am in the midst of you. Then wait. Let the I that is presence take the lead. That is the shift. You do not become a stronger person. You become a clearer transparency. I live, yet not I, but Christ liveth in me. This changes the way you think of everyone and everything you once called mine. Hear it gently and let it free you. My child is not my child. The child is the child of God. My spouse is not my possession. The life beside me is God's own life. My body is not my private clay. It is the temple of the living God. My work is not my stage. It is an altar on which the activity of Christ appears as usefulness where I stand. So the prayer shifts from guarding what is mine to releasing what is God's. Father, into thy hands, I release my child into the bosom of the Father. I release my relationships, my health, my income, my name into the same care. And I rest until there is the inward assurance, I am with thee. then whatever form is needed will appear in due season, not because I insisted, but because life is being itself. Belonging is transfigured by the same light. When the old self-rule loosens, the question, who is my mother and who are my brethren, answers itself. You are who are attuned to the one, not blood alone, not agreement alone, but receptivity to the presence marks our family. My sheep hear my voice. Those who can abide the inner hush, who can wait without reaching for levers, who can let love be love. These are kin in the most literal sense. Bone of one bone in the body that is Christ. Because there is only one soul in this room, one mind, one spirit. We do not forge community by similarity. We discover it by realization. Now watch how outcomes are gently repurposed. You say, I want to be more loving, but love is not a mood you stretch into by will. God is love. Christ doesn't send love like parcels. Christ is love wherever it is realized. So we do not become loving. We consent to love being itself as us. We do not become brave. We consent to the peace of God standing up in our ribs. We do not become wise. We consent to mind being the only mind on the field, not by might nor by power, but by my spirit. The fruit of the spirit is not grafted on. It grows where the branch abides in the vine. I am the vine, ye are the branches. The branch does not interrogate the sap. It stays in place and lets life move. So you abide quiet, surrendered, receptive, and love bears love in its season. How then do you practice this transfiguration on an ordinary Tuesday? You meet the compulsion to fix with a confession that opens the door. I of my own self can do nothing. You turn within. Be still and know that I am in the midst. Then wait. Wait until the inward shift says, without any heroics, the worker is here. Outwardly, you may speak or keep silence, move or stay, give or refrain. But now the motion is not you improving yourself. It is Christ living its own life where you stand. If halfway through the day, the old actor wakes up and reaches for the controls, smile, lay the hands back at the altar, and enter again. Each return lightens the sense of me and strengthens the sense of I that simply is. You will see this at the crib and at the conference table. A parent learns to loose ownership and discovers an ease that steadies the whole house. An employer stops practicing personality and lets fairness, which is love being itself, order the decisions. A nurse throws off the cape of saviorhood and becomes a window through which quiet assurance walks the halls. An artist stops trying to matter and lets beauty, which is God's own radiance, appear as line and tone. None of these are personal improvements. They are the same miracle in different garments. Personhood set aside, Christ risen in consciousness doing the works. So let it be spoken simply and received deeply. You are not here to perform God. You are here to be so still that God performs as you. Trade agency for transparency. Trade possession for release. Trade tribe for the communion of those who can hear the hush. When you find yourself reaching for the old mask, pause and remember, it is the Father that doeth the works. Then wait until the quiet says yes. From that yes, let love be what it is, right here, without your embroidery. That is Christed identity. Not a title to wear, but the life that is in the midst, recognized, welcomed, and free to be itself where you stand. Now we come to the cadence. Spiritual life is not a single burst of light. It is a rhythm, a breathing. After the first inward assurance, the soft yes that says, I am in the midst, do not imagine the day can spend that coin endlessly without renewal. Return. Let the morning stillness be followed by another visit 6 hours later. Then, as you learn the flavor of that peace, pause again an hour after that, and for a season, every hour. Not as works to earn favor, not as superstitious clocks, but as opening the window to the same fresh air you tasted at dawn. Then, and this is the grace of it, the very need to schedule begins to loosen, because the air does not wait for you to open the window. The window opens from within. Keep returning to the center until the center begins returning to you, governing all. Do not be afraid of repetition. Realization is not a thing you capture. It is a presence you consent to, again and again, until trust grows and effort subsides. The first times, you may need to sit down consciously, to shut the door, to say, be still and know that I am God. Then wait. The 20th time, you may find that the hush steps toward you while you wash a cup or stand at an elevator. Before they call, I will answer. That is not poetry. It is the way the inner government takes the field. What begins as discipline becomes devotion, and devotion ripens into a state in which pray without ceasing is fulfilled, not by many words, but by an almost continuous recognition, lightly, like the fragrance of bread in a house where someone is always baking. Help yourself in practical ways. Set a gentle bell on your phone, not an alarm to scold you, a chime to invite you. Tie your pauses to the sacraments of an ordinary day. Every doorway you pass through becomes a small sanctuary. Every red light a tiny cloister. The kettle's song a call to Father speak. Thy servant heareth. Let an hourly chime become the reminder to turn within for 10 slow breaths. I, of my own self, can do nothing. Be still, then wait. No theatrics. Sometimes it will be 30 seconds, sometimes 3 minutes. Sometimes only one breath that says, I am. The aim is not intensity. The aim is availability. We are not trying to generate a feeling. We are consenting to presence as the only actor on the stage. If you miss an hour, smile and begin again. Release guilt with the same breath you release the world. Loose it, let it go, and return. As this rhythm settles, watch what begins to happen at the edges of your day. And then, at the very center, appointments slip into better places without your juggling. A message you had braced yourself to deliver finds gentler words, or discovers that silence has already done the work. A delay that used to inflame you becomes the very pause in which an important idea arrives. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. You will discover yourself speaking less and accomplishing more. A child's tantrum that usually climbs to the rafters seems to lose its footholds. A colleague who reaches for battle finds no handhold in you and decides unconsciously to put the spear down. You have not managed these outcomes. You have made room for governance. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace, not by your cleverness, not by your pressure, but by the activity of Christ being the law of harmony where you stand. There will be days when the hush seems to hide. Do not go hunting it with strain. Return to the simplicity. God is. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. Say it within, not to coerce a mood, but to acknowledge a fact. Then wait. If nothing stirs, go on with the task in front of you lightly, as if carrying a brimming cup you would rather not spill. And then Perhaps in the stairwell or while tying a shoe, the soft yes will find you unannounced. This is the sign that the rhythm is beginning to play you, the way a great tide carries a small boat even when the oars rest. Make this a way of being for a little while, consciously, deliberately, kindly. Enter and wait. 6 hours later, another turning, then hourly for a season, and then unnecessary. Not because prayer has ended, but because presence has become the climate of the house. You will sense the shift when you discover that your first instinct in trouble is no longer to reach for a lever, but to turn within without thinking. When gratitude rises in the throat in the middle of unlabeled moments, when decisions begin to announce themselves already made, and made rightly, without the sweat of choosing, the government shall be upon his shoulder. Let it be so in your calendar, in your errands, in the borderlands of your day and the heartlands of your home. Keep returning to the center until the center begins returning to you, and quietly notice how the outer scene arranges itself with a wisdom that asks nothing of your strain and everything of your surrender. Now we must speak plainly about the weights to lay down, the subtle threads that keep you tied to the very wheel you wish to stop. Let loose right now, release them, loose them, and let them go. The first is activist strain, the heat that calls itself holy because it wears your best ideals. The wrath of man worketh not the righteousness of God. Anger, even for a cause, binds you to the battlefield and drafts you into the same war. You feel it in the jaw that sets when you type, in the breath that shortens when you march, in the mental debates that keep you up rehearsing lines for enemies you will never meet. Stop trying to demonstrate a better world with pressure. Be still and know that I am in the midst of you. Then wait. When the hush appears, move if moved, speak if spoken through. Otherwise, stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. You will find, to your surprise, that your absence of heat leaves no handhold for conflict. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace, not by your might, not by your cleverness, but by my spirit. Next, lay down spiritual posturing. The letter cannot heal. Realization alone heals. Not all the truth that's written, no. Not even if you could quote the entire bookshelf will heal a simple headache. The letter killeth, but the spirit giveth life. Do not take verses like stones to throw at your neighbor's thinking. Do not bandage anxiety with aphorisms and call it faith. If you feel the itch to correct someone with a quote, withdraw instead and turn within. I of my own self can do nothing. It is the Father that doeth the works. Be still and know. Then wait. If out of that quiet a sentence comes for them, it will fall like rain, not like a hammer, and they may never even know it came through you. Christ realized heals. Christ advertised only adds noise. Christ doesn't send peace to your performance. Christ is peace where it is realized. Now drop your discouragement timelines. Impatience is only grasping dressed in a calendar. You have noticed it. I have meditated 3 mornings. Why hasn't this changed? That is still bargaining with God. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength, not they that hurry him. Wait until the inner assurance comes, warmth, ease, a hush, or a quiet word. If it takes another breath, another hour, another dawn, it is still grace at work, not delay. Faith is not a stopwatch. Faith is a seat. Sit down inside the promise, my peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth, then wait. The moment you set a human deadline, you have returned to self as manager. Loose it. Release the clock into God. When the assurance appears, even faintly, Rise and take the step that is given, not the one you plotted for last Tuesday. Finally, renounce influence tactics. No visualization, no thought sending, no pushing pictures across the air. These are only refined grasps, the mind trying to be magician. Stop trying to demonstrate anybody. Forget them lovingly for a moment and realize presence as all. Because there is only one soul in this room, one mind, one spirit. The lift of realization in you is lawfully registered. Wherever there is receptivity without you sending a thing, if I be lifted up, will draw all men unto me. A woman once came to me proud of the golden light she put around a troubled son each night. She was exhausted from doing God's work for him. She stopped the picture making and sat instead with Father into thy hands. Within days, without fanfare, without manipulation, the boy phoned from a quiet street and said, I don't know why, but something settled. He did not think of her. He felt the law of one. So drop the heat that passes for holiness. Drop the costume that recites truth without tasting it. Drop the clock that scolds. Drop the wizardry of mental influence. Return to presence. One thing have I desired of the Lord, that will I seek after, to know thee. Be still, and know that I am God. Then wait. Release every subtle form of grasping anger, performance, influence, and let grace be the only actor on the stage. When you consent to this, the activity of Christ becomes the law of harmony, where you stand, and those ready to receive will feel it without thinking of you at all. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Let it be so. Now, let us be very quiet together. Not talking about quiet, but entering it. Because there is only one soul in this room, one mind, one spirit. We do not have to knit ourselves together. We are already one. We only have to cease pretending we are many. So release the sense of personhood for a moment, your name, the line of your day, the ache or triumph you carried in. Let these fall like coats at the door. Turn within. Be still and know that I am God. Then wait. We are not trying to summon anything, and we are not trading thoughts with each other. We are consenting to the one that is already here, already whole, already itself. Where 2 or 3 are gathered in my name, there am I in the midst of them. Let that not be a verse only. Let it be the felt fact of this room. No sending, only being. Do not aim a thought across the aisle. Do not push a light toward the far corner. Forget who sits where. Let the attention rest on the simple acknowledgement. I am in the midst. If a warmth begins anywhere, let it be everywhere without your help. If a hush deepens, do not claim it. Do not name it. Recognize it and rest. Christ doesn't send peace here like a courier. Christ is peace where it is realized. So we are not instruments trying to play. We are the silence in which the music begins to play itself. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. Let that peace find its own level in this room, the way water finds its shore. As you sit, notice how the sense of my softens. My need, my story, my improvement. Loose them, release them, let them go. I of my own self can do nothing. It is the Father that doeth the works. We are not taking turns at the microphone of God. We are not adding our little wattage to a communal bulb. There is one light. Many lamps, perhaps, but one light. Let it shine. Not by turning dials, but by getting out of its way. If you feel a breath lengthen, let it be the room's breath. If a phrase rises, I am in the midst, be still and know. Let it rise and fade like a tide, not as a chant to compel, but as the heart's natural remembering. Then wait. The waiting is not vacancy. It is expectancy without design. In this recognition, divisions that had been so loud become uninteresting. Faces are not strangers. They are transparencies. You are meeting not opinions, not histories, but yourself in the one. We, being many, are one bread and one body. Feel that without performing it. No agreements need to be brokered here. No outcomes chosen. This is the country in which outcomes are born rightly without our midwifing. In quietness and in confidence shall be your strength. Let the quiet saturate the corners that seemed furthest away. Let it bathe the thresholds of this building and the streets beyond, not by your outreach, but by oneness, being what it is. Because there is only one soul, one mind, one spirit, realization. In any point is realization available at every receptive point. Without travel, without announcement, now do only this. Acknowledge the hush. Acknowledge it as presence, not as a mood. Silently, within yourself, without moving a leaf, affirm Christ is a reality here. Say it as recognition, not petition. Christ is a reality here. Again, softer. Christ is a reality here. Then let even that go and rest. If an ease has stolen into the muscles, let it be. If an inner smile appears without story, let it be. If nothing at all seems to happen, honor that too. For it is not your report that matters. It is the fact that God is, and we have made room. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord, not later, now, as the natural state of a room that remembers itself. We will seal this not by doing, but by consenting, Father, into thy hands. No more words are required. Keep the door of this stillness just ajar as we go on, as if a lamp within were left lit for every traveler who passes this way. Let the one be the host of this house, and as we rise, carry nothing out but the simple certainty that what has been recognized here governs without effort wherever receptivity allows. Christ is a reality here. So it is. Now we take the paradox back into the daylight. God is, but the world is at war. How do you marry that? Not by arguing God into the headlines, not by shouting truth at bayonets. Christ is a reality if so be the Spirit of God dwell in you. It isn't going to appear because we have the right slogans or the most righteous outrage. It appears as an activity of Christ in and as our consciousness. Be still and know that I am in the midst of you. Then wait. Not all the truth that's written in the books will heal a simple headache, and not all the manifestos will heal a border. It has to be God's grace, Christ realized, not Christ advertised. So watch how God is becomes visible. Because there is only one soul in this room, one mind, one spirit. Realization at any point becomes law to every receptive point. Where receptivity appears, harmony surfaces. Where it does not, we remain at peace. Do you hear the freedom in that? We are not holding the universe together with mental fingers. We are yielding to the one that holds it already. Ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. That is not indifference. It is instruction. The Christ realized in you is peace itself. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. And that peace is the only atmosphere in which swords turn to plowshares. If, before your very eyes, the noise does not hush, do not pick the sword back up in the name of God. Remain in the hush. The law goes forth from Zion first, as silence that governs. I have watched it work, and so have you, though you have not always named it. A commander wakes with a weight he cannot explain and postpones a strike. A checkpoint that had closed like a fist opens for an hour so a convoy passes. A man who had polished his grievance until it shone meets it in the mirror and finds it dull, not worth the keeping. In a house, a child's rage breaks like a wave that cannot find a shore. In an office, the meeting that was bound for bloodlessness becomes oddly human. No one congratulates you. They do not think of you at all, and that is the sign of it. I, if I be lifted up, will draw all men unto me. Not lifted up on posters, but lifted in consciousness, recognized, welcomed, free to be itself. He maketh wars to cease unto the end of the earth. He as this inner government that does the works. Do not limit the forms in which it may appear. Let grace choose its own avenues. Sometimes the answer is reconciliation that melts a line. Sometimes it is a firm closing of a door that should never have been opened. Sometimes it is the removal of a person from a field where their heat has scorched the wheat. Sometimes it is simply your own untroubled sleep in the night. The world says you must fear. Judge not according to the appearance, but judge righteous judgment. We are to withhold our designs. Be still and know, then wait. When the assurance comes, warmth, ease, a soft yes rise, and take only the step that is given. Do not rush to write the testimony and do not edit the scene for God, not by might nor by power, but by my spirit. There are no such things as many demonstrations. There is only one demonstration, the realization of the Christ. So our task is singular, and it is possible. God becomes visible to the degree Christ is realized, not proclaimed in us. The fruit will be what the orchard chooses. Order where chaos strutted. Mercy where rancor shouted. A pause where violence needed one more second to vanish. Or only the steadying of our own ribs, so that we do not add one feather to the scale of hate. If there is an ear to hear, they will feel it without thinking of you. If there is not, our peace remains, and even that is law at work, seeding the ground for another hour. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. Let the worker be the worker. Make room for him, and let the forms be his. So it is. Your part is blessedly simple, and it is the only part you can fulfill. One thing have I desired of the Lord, that will I seek after, to know thee. Not peace as a condition, not health as a condition, not supply as a condition. Thee. When the desire narrows to that single flame, all the lesser lights find their proper places without your arranging. Seek ye first the kingdom of God. There are no such things as many demonstrations. There is only one demonstration, the realization of the Christ. Let that be your aim, and let every other want be folded into it and offered up like paper boats upon a tide that knows its own shore. The practice is not complicated, and it does not require your strain. Be still and know that I am God. Then wait. No designs, no speeches to God, no bargaining. I of my own self can do nothing. It is the Father that doeth the works. Wait until the assurance comes, a warmth that loosens the ribs, a quiet that takes the edges off thought, a simple inner yes, or a word that is not of your making. When it comes, do only what the light gives. Perhaps move, perhaps rest, perhaps make a call, perhaps keep silence. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. This is not mysticism as ornament. It is procedure. Enter, acknowledge, wait, and yield to the step that appears. If nothing appears, hold your peace and let the worker be the worker. Do not confine the scope of this to a prayer chair. The same law governs crib and border, kitchen and boardroom, clinic and courtroom. Because there is only one soul in this room, one mind, one spirit. Forget persons for a moment and realize presence. Then, without sending a thought, without pushing a picture, the realized Christ in you becomes the law of harmony to every receptive heart. In a family, the old quarrel loses an audience and dissolves. At work, justice appears as fair terms without you squeezing it out of anyone. At the edges of nations, a hand relaxes on a lever for reasons no report will name. I, if I be lifted up, will draw all men unto me, not lifted in publicity, but lifted in consciousness. Where there is an ear to hear, they will feel it without thinking of you. Now set no limit on grace, neither in form nor in time. Judge not according to the appearance. Let us have no limit on God's capacity to reveal itself. Sometimes healing is a mended bone. Sometimes it is a changed appointment. Sometimes it is a refusal that turns out to be protection. Sometimes it is the deep rest that keeps you from adding 1 ounce of hatred to the world's burden. They that wait upon the Lord shall renew their strength. Not they that wait with a stopwatch. Loose the clock into God. If the assurance tarries, sit inside the promise. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. When it comes, even lightly, honor it, and let it govern the next inch of your road. Make this your commission in the face of every headline, every invoice, every cry in your own house. Begin with God. One thing have I desired, to know thee. Turn within, be still, and know, then wait. Move by the light that rises, and withhold your embroidery on the scene. Keep clear of anger and influence. Keep clear of performance, because there is only one. The radiance in you belongs to all without your distributing it. Seek God alone, and let grace choose the form and timing of every healing, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit. The government shall be upon his shoulder. Go in this quiet, and let love be what it is where you stand. So it is. Now we seal it, not with effort, but with release. Let loose right now, release it, loose it, and let it go. Let go the world. You have been secretly carrying on your small shoulders. The argument waiting at the door, the invoice with teeth, the border that bleeds in the mind, the child whose name you clench in prayer, as if God had forgotten it. Loose it, not by neglect, by surrender. I of my own self can do nothing. It is the Father that doeth the works. Be still and know that I am God. Then wait. Let the waiting be your amen, your consent to a government, not of your making and better than your managing. We do not leave here to seek outcomes. We leave here to abide as the realized presence. Christ is a reality, if so be the Spirit of God dwell in you. Do you feel the turn? You do not go from this room with tools to fix, but with a truth to be. I am in the midst. Hold to nothing else as first. If a step is given, take it. If a word is placed, speak it. If nothing appears, keep the hush as your law and let it govern the hour, not by might, nor by power, but by my spirit. This is not passivity. It is the only activity that is sure. Now, as you cross thresholds, house to street, street to work, work to home, do not carry blessings in your hands as if they were parcels to distribute. Let the hush go before you. Blessing without words is the benediction that does not announce itself, the light that does not accuse the dark for being dark, because there is only one soul in this room, one mind, one spirit. The rest that has found you is already the atmosphere into which you walk. They will feel it without thinking of you. A look will soften without your arranging it. A door will open without your knocking at the hinge. My peace I give unto you, not as the world giveth. Let that peace be the only letter you carry. If, in a day or two, the old noise tries to re-enlist you, remember the paradox that frees. The more you grasp, the less you have. Only in loosing do you truly possess. Loose the clock. Loose the outcome. Loose even the proof that you think you need in order to trust. The Lord shall fight for you, and ye shall hold your peace. Let the holding of peace be your contribution to every scene. If someone asks for your certainty, give them your stillness. If someone seeks your opinion, turn within before you answer, and let the sentence, if there is one, come from the hush, not from your heat. So we end as we intend to live, released into presence, trusting the activity of Christ to be all. One thing have I desired, to know thee. Keep that flame single, be still, and know that I am God. Then wait. Let this be your living benediction upon the world. No embroidery, no influence, no design, just the yes of a heart that has made room. Christ doesn't send peace as a messenger to your plans. Christ is peace where it is realized. Let it be realized here, and let it go as it goes where it will. Walk lightly now. Do not close the door on this stillness. Leave it ajar. Let your errands be sacraments, your pauses, small altars. Let the presence that has met you here go before you into every encounter, every hallway, every headline, and make the crooked places straight without your map. Stand still and see the salvation of the Lord. So it is, and it is enough. Amen.